Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Tuesday, it's September 12th. It is 2023. We have a 9-game baseball slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Joined today by my buddy Keith Eister, Eys819. Keith, we just got to watch a catch that we'll talk about probably the rest of the year by Garrett Wilson. What an insane catch. Aaron Rodgers hurt in the first drive of the game. Hopefully he's okay. Doesn't sound too optimistic, but I mean, it's a lot of keyboard doctors. We'll have to kind of see. It looks like the Jets just recovered a sack fumble and have a chance to win this game, which is wild. So what a Monday Night Football game. And how are you doing, my friend?
This has been a wild night for sure. Aaron Rodgers, hope he's okay. That was going to be a fun and exciting team. Garrett Wilson, man, he is on his way to being like a top 5 at least wide receiver in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if he's up there in the top 3 if Rodgers can make it back this season. But yeah, extreme talent there for Garrett Wilson. Been a little bit of a boring football game since we didn't have the quarterback play on the other side, but the Jets still in it. Shout out to their defense holding Josh Allen in check. They'll be okay even if Rodgers can't come back, but they won't be the Super Bowl contender that they were projected to be, I don't think. Baseball's been an interesting one on Monday night, too. I had a bunch of Luzardo, and he got absolutely blown up by the Brewers. So I'm ready to turn the page to Tuesday. I don't know about you.
Yeah, baseball, I ended up really heavy on the Cubs. That's not working out. So, yeah, I mean, that didn't work out. I did play Woodruff, so I was on the opposite side of you in that game. And I had a ton of interest in, oh my God, why I can't think of his name? Tampa pitcher right now. Why can't I think of his name? Oh my gosh, who pitched for Tampa today? Why am Glasnow? Yeah. So, and he had a pretty solid game. He just didn't have that like dominating game. So, like my non-Cub stacks had him, and yeah, it was just one of those things where not the right combos, not going to be a good night. Hit on a couple pick'em props, which is always nice, and I need Diggs. I was just telling you before the show. I need Diggs to get 8 more yards to finish off a 5 for 5 on prize picks for 10x. So that would be nice. So the fumble right there, not ideal unless the Jets score really fast in this one. So, but yeah, man, ready to, like you said, flip the page, talk some baseball here on Tuesday. Just some housekeeping notes here. Kansas City, Chicago White Sox, they're playing a doubleheader. That game that's on the slate right now, they already said there won't be fantasy points accrued for that game. And then the Red Sox-Yankees game, there's not a note yet, but they announced that they're going to play a doubleheader as well. We're just assuming they're going to cross that game off. So we'll just roll with that. We don't know who the pitchers are for the doubleheader yet either, so it's really tough to talk about that game anyway. So if something changes on that, obviously there'll be a ton of information for that, but we're going to play this and break this down as a 9-game slate to kind of give you a better idea of what we're looking at here on this slate. So that's all that. Let's get into talking some baseball overall here. It's an interesting slate. A lot of interesting spots to attack, some interesting pitchers to attack. So let's break it down. We start with Texas at Toronto. We got Scherzer against Ryu in this one. There wasn't a total out, but I think now that everything's been announced, 8.5. Blue Jays a 112 favorite, so Blue Jays a slight favorite, but almost a pick'em game with the Rangers being minus 104. What are your thoughts here on Max Scherzer going up against Toronto?
Blue Jays favored against Scherzer. That's a little bit of a surprise. I know he hasn't been quite as dominant this season, but still been pretty solid overall. He's 11,300. That's like paying up for pitching has been something I've tried to avoid here recently. I did play a good amount of Gilbert. That's not going great. Framber gave up a couple of runs to Oakland. He did have 10 strikeouts, so that kind of salvaged his day. But it's a tough matchup against Toronto. They are very right-handed, which helps Scherzer here. It's the price tag for me. It's another Coors slate. I know I'm going to want to jam in Cubs bats again. Despite it not working out Monday night, I'm going to go right back to it. just a pretty good offense in its Coors Field. So I think I'll be prioritizing bats for the most part again. Scherzer not being the elite strikeout guy that he once was in a tougher matchup, probably off of him today.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like throughout his career, Max Scherzer has been dominant against right-handed hitters, and I mean, this is still a very right-handed heavy offense. I don't know if I necessarily would talk you out of it. I just like if I'm paying up here, I think I'm paying up for Peralta against Miami. Overall, I think that's a higher ceiling matchup. So I prefer going Peralta over Scherzer. Maybe even go down to Verlander against Oakland in that matchup. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a spot if I play Scherzer, it would probably be on one of three teams. I don't think this would be a spot that I would be playing him on 2 of 3 or 3 of 3. The other side of this game, Ryu. I mean, Texas has been hot or cold. This offense is really good. Ryu is a guy that's going to throw a lot of strikes. His strikeout rate is average. Not a huge strikeout offense in general. Garcia being out of the lineup definitely hurts this team against left-handed pitching. What are your thoughts here at Ryu?
Yeah, tough matchup against Texas. Not a very good strikeout matchup. Fully priced at 8,600. Like he's not working deep into games. That feels a little bit too pricey for a matchup against Texas. Hasn't topped 80 pitches in his last 3 starts. Like you're probably getting 5 innings here. I don't know if there's enough, especially in a tougher matchup, for him to pay off an $8,600 price tag in 5 innings. It's like he's certainly not an elite strikeout pitcher. Has been well below average this season, so probably not getting to Ryu either.
Yeah, and like we've seen him like throw really good outings, and they just cap him at 5 innings. He pitched really well against Cleveland a couple weeks ago. He was at 70 pitches when he came out of that game going into the 6th inning. So I think maybe an innings limit more than a pitch count limit. And I think that still limits his ceiling because I mean, one bad inning and he gets to like 85 in the 4th. I mean, he's not coming back out. So I'm with you on this. I mean, I don't know necessarily how many Texas bats I want to play, but I know I definitely don't want to play Ryu in this one. As far as the Texas bats are concerned, Seager's been really good lefty-lefty. Ryu has been a lead against lefties this season. Throughout his career, this is a guy that has pitched well against left-handed hitters. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons that I'm struggling with this team is like, I want to play low. I want to play Seager. It's just Ryu has been so good against lefties. I think like Duran, cheap option, has power against left-handed pitching. Garver or Heim, whoever catches here, like those are the guys that I'm more interested in this spot.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in a full stack here. I think you can try to find some home runs. Ryu's a fly ball guy. I like the Duran call a lot. I think that's the guy I would generally be looking to. Garver's been better against righties this year, which is odd because he's been better against lefties in his career. Kind of that's switched around a little bit this year, though. Let's see. Heim has been dealing with an injury and hasn't quite been right for quite a while here. So probably not getting to Heim. He's a guy I usually like to play against lefties. Carter is a prospect I played a bunch of Monday night. Shout out to Don Yeezy in the chat. He was on the Rangers stack as well. That worked out pretty well on Monday night, but not a stack for me today. I think you can hunt home runs. I like your Duran call the best. You can, of course, play Simeon all the time, but he's priced up.
I was just trying to like think about who potentially could crack the lineup today. I do, going back to Yeezy in chat. Shout out Yeezy. What's up, YouTube chat? Hope you're all having a fantastic Monday night. Tavares could hit higher in the lineup too against the lefties, so that's something to kind of pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean Grossman's going to be in there. Never a guy I love to play, but
good hit lead off. Better from the right side of the plate too.
Yep.
Throughout his career, he's been better hitting righty. You always wonder, like, when guys have like switch hitters have such like drastic splits, do you ever like wonder like why not just hit from one side? I wonder that to myself all the time.
Yeah, I mean switch hitting is really hard. Like you have to keep the mechanics straight on 2 swings. Like I completely understand, and we've seen some guys give it up. But yeah, like especially when you're just better from one side, why not just stick to one thing?
Yeah, man, I could crush like from the left side of the plate, like BP in like high school, but like I never tried to do it in a game because I mean like BP is I got it, but yeah, like high school, I hit a lot in high school. I mean, when you're an athlete in high school, I used to be an athlete. I'm fat and old now, but I mean I mean I played center field and I pitched, so like I hit lead off most of the time and I pitched, so I used to Keith. I used to be fast. I don't know. I hate running now. So Toronto. I mean, like anybody. Like if you talk to anybody that played baseball growing up in like high school, college, pro level, you run so much that I feel like you hate it by the time you're like not playing anymore.
I'm definitely in that boat.
All right. Toronto bats. I mean, Scherzer has been someone that we've targeted for home runs in the past. It's a tough spot. They're expensive. Like nothing like jumping off the page for me here on Toronto.
Yeah, not for me either. Like you can take some shots on the cheap lefties, I think, like Varsho, Biggio. There's still a ton of strikeout risk there. It's definitely not a stack for me. I'm not trying to pick on Scherzer, but you can play a cheap lefty trying to find a home run.
All right, Arizona at New York facing the Mets. 9.5 total in this game. Pick'em game. We got Nelson and Budo. Any interest here in Ryan Nelson?
No interest in Nelson. I just don't see the strikeout upside. I am going to be kind of hunting down in this range and trying to find things that I think are somewhat playable. I know he had a decent game his last time out against the Cubs, but pretty much everything went perfect, and that's kind of what has to happen for him to be usable. Good ballpark here to pitch in, but the Mets have quite a bit of power. Nothing here excites me about Nelson.
Low pitch count. I mean, this is a guy that hasn't thrown more than 80 pitches in the majors in like 2 months. So pitch count, a month and a half. Pitch count worries me a little bit about Nelson. He's cheap, though. Good ballpark. Nice ballpark upgrade. Below average strikeout pitcher. Struggles to both sides of the plate. The Mets, when they're hitting, they're a great offense. Oh, such a tilting offense, too. The other side of this game, we got Jose Budo coming off of probably his best outing of the year, through 6 innings, 81 pitches against Washington, put up 18 fantasy points. Tough matchup against Arizona. Any interest here?
I mean, I think he's fine. There are guys that I prefer in the 6K range, I think, that we're going to get to. He's another low strikeout pitcher, and he has a really low strikeout matchup. Could I see him having another strong 6-inning start and putting together 4 or 5 Ks and being useful on this slate? I suppose I could see a case for it. I don't think he's going to be one of my favorite options, and I doubt he makes my pool.
Just the top half of this lineup has been so good this year. You look at it: Marte, Corbin, Pham, Walker, Gurriel. Like Longo has kind of reemerged this season. He's having a really good year as like this 6-7 hitter in this offense. I just don't see a ton of upside in this matchup today, so I'm probably going to pass. Looking at the Arizona bats, I mean, I hate the ballpark, so I think if I'm playing Arizona, it'd be like a 3-man stack more than a full stack here. But I mean, looking at this guy's advanced numbers, you definitely can target some left-handed hitters, low strikeout, high walks. I mean, there's a ton of potential for a stack to go off here.
Yeah, sorry, I was messing with my camera. My camera went out for a minute, and I was trying to get it back. Looks like I got it back now. But which side are we starting with here? Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona bats.
Yeah, I mean, Budo is he's a low strikeout guy. You mentioned Arizona's been pretty solid here, so. Carroll was back up towards the top of the lineup. They had moved him down for a little bit after he was struggling, but if he's back up there, you love his upside with his power and speed. Gurriel's a guy who's been really good against righties, so I like him a good amount. Pham and Longoria are cheap. I think that you can make a stack here. Budo is not a guy who necessarily scares me off of him. He walks a ton of people too, so good chance the Diamondbacks have quite a bit of people on base today.
Mets bats. Any interest in the Mets here against Nelson?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they're in play here. Low strikeout guys, so anybody that typically struggles with strikeouts, very much in play. Pete Alonso certainly comes to mind. Should be hitting the ball hard quite a bit here. Love Mauricio, really solid prospect for the Mets. He's 3,300, has second base eligibility. DJ Stewart, a guy who I love to play in low strikeout matchups, big time power, same type of play in Dan Vogelbach. I like the Mets quite a bit here in this spot. Of course, you can play Lindor and Nimmo in any matchup, but a great spot here for the Mets.
Yeah, a FanDuel team that I really liked today that had Vogelbach in it, and he wasn't even in the lineup. Made me sad. So, yeah, I like the power. DJ Stewart, Alonso, Nimmo. We don't usually like classify like Nimmo as power, but I mean, dude has a 230 ISO against right-handed pitching this season. Been really solid. All right, we got Miami at Milwaukee. 7.5 total in this game. Brew Crew a 155 favorite. It sounds like it's going to be a opener situation for Miami today with Cabrera pitching in long relief. They've kind of capped him about 70-75 pitches here recently. So I would assume that's kind of what we're looking at for him. And then Peralta pitching for Milwaukee. Are you touching Cabrera at 8,100?
I don't think you can do it at 8,100 and probably only 70 to 75 pitches again. Like it's a young staff. They're trying to limit these guys down the stretch here a little bit. I prefer targeting my Milwaukee with lefties, especially if Yelich is able to make it back in. I was hoping Yelich made it back for the game Monday night because I was playing a bunch of Luzardo, and Yelich hasn't been good against lefties, but he's been very good against righties. So hopefully for Cabrera's sake, he sits again, but I don't think I'm getting there either way.
I got there with Diggs. I'm happy. I'm good.
Nice.
35 seconds in the game getting there is always nice. If Cabrera was like 6,500 in this spot, I could make an argument for just attacking the strikeouts against Milwaukee. Like 8,100 for a guy that's probably capped at 75 pitches on a 9-game slate. It's just, I feel like it's too much. So for me, I think I'm going to pass on Cabrera. I have a ton of interest in Peralta. I think if you're spending up today, this is the guy. There's a ton of strikeouts in this Miami lineup. They're missing, obviously they're missing one of their biggest power hitters in Soler. I mean, yeah, you still got to get around like Jazz, but Jazz has a 31% K rate too. I think this is a great spot today for Freddie Peralta.
I think it's a great spot as well. I just the price tag at 11.8, like this might be the most expensive Freddie Peralta has ever been. Like we're used to seeing him above 10K, no doubt about it, but I don't know that he's ever approached 12K. That's usually reserved for like Jacob deGrom and Spencer Strider. Scherzer and Cole, obviously back in the day too, but he was striking out a ton of guys. Like he put up great performances against good offenses when he had this string of Texas, San Diego, and Philly, was striking out basically 10 every game. Then he gets a matchup against Pittsburgh and only gets 4 strikeouts. So you need that 9-10K type of performance from him at 11.8. I think he can certainly do it against Miami. But my concern is that he's not necessarily been an elite strikeout pitcher in his career. I know, like I said, he went through that awesome stretch this year. But he's been more like a 27-28% strikeout guy in his career rather than the 30 plus, at least last year. And then leading up to that stretch this year, he was in that like 27-28% range. So I don't know if I fully buy his 30% strikeout stuff. 11.8 is a tough price tag to ask. So it's going to be dependent on ownership. If he's low owned, then I probably try to get over the field on him. But if everybody's paying up for Peralta, I probably end up underweight.
Yeah, Woodruff didn't do him any favors by throwing the complete game shutout on Monday night.
Yeah, well-rested bullpen.
Yeah, well-rested bullpen. I got no interest today in the Miami bats.
No, I don't either. Just because I don't want to play for Peralta doesn't mean he is not an elite pitcher.
The Milwaukee side, Yelich is banged up right now. Maybe back in the lineup, just sat against the lefty on Monday. He's dealing with like a back injury, and I feel like this has been the thing that's kind of haunted him over the last few years. Any interest in the Milwaukee bats here?
I don't think so. Like, especially with the opener situation, you're going to get the additional pinch hit risk. I think you can play Frelick. You can certainly play Contreras if you want to spend up. I'm with you. I'm off Yelich. Anytime that back flares up, we've seen him really struggle at times. So don't think I can go there for that reason. It's not really a full stack for me. Adames as a one-off is certainly fine. Frelick as a one-off is fine, but not real interested in the stack.
Yeah, like I said, I don't mind some one-offs here. Adames, I think he's a good shortstop one-off. We're gonna see quite a bit of ownership on this slate for certain hitters, especially at shortstop. So good pivot potentially here. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. 8 total in this game. The Twins a 130 favorite. We got Ryan and Little facing off against each other in this one. Any interest here in Zach Little?
Yeah, I do. I've actually played a decent amount of this guy this year, which is like, I mean, I didn't even realize he was transitioning to a starting pitcher until he was announced making a start. It's been a couple, I don't know, what's he made, 8 starts or something like that now. He's been pretty solid here for Tampa Bay. This Minnesota lineup strikes out a ton. He doesn't go deep into games. You're going to get probably 80, 85 pitches. He has been up over 90 once, but I don't think that's the norm, especially for a Tampa Bay pitcher. So 85 pitches is probably where I'd put it if I had to make a guess. Not a huge strikeout guy, but I think there's strikeout upside due to the matchup. There's certainly power risk on the other side, but he's done a pretty decent job. He went through a little stretch there where he was getting beat up a little bit, but then had a great outing last time against Seattle. So 6,700 for 85 pitches. I'm against a high strikeout opponent. I'm interested here.
There's a lot of strikes, generates a lot of ground balls, doesn't give up a ton of power, so I could definitely see it. I mean, at this price, like we're looking for some value, right? We have some top end pitching, we have some top end bats to pay up for today. So looking for some cheap pitching. I mean, I'll play just about anybody against Minnesota at this point. So I think this is a spot at 6,700. We're going to talk about the Minnesota bats too, for what it's worth, but I think that you could definitely take some shots on him today. Ryan on the other side of this game, 9,500, tough matchup here going up against Tampa. Joe Ryan is someone that can strike out righties at a huge clip, but Tampa's a team that can throw 5-6 lefties at him. Any interest here in Ryan?
Yeah, it's the lefties that are concerning, right? He's got a very, very wide split in his strikeout rate. It looks like he's just about back to fully stretched out. 89 pitches in the last one. Obviously, he missed some time there. And like he had seen a dip in his pitch count, working his way back up to full strength, 80, 74 coming off the IL, and then 89 in this one. So I think we're good to go for about 95 here, which is generally where he sits. Occasionally he'll top 100. Just the tough matchup against Tampa Bay. He's in play for me. I think he kind of gets lost with Verlander right in this range, or people going up to Peralta. So if he's low owned, I'd probably take a couple of shots here on Ryan, but it is not a great matchup.
Bass hit the upright, but it went in. Looks like we're gonna get some overtime on Monday Night Football here. So
might actually turn this into a decent game here.
I mean, I don't think it. Yeah, the first half was like atrocious because I don't think the Jets were ready to play offense without Aaron Rodgers. But
right,
I mean, they're kind of finding a little bit of rhythm. The defense, man, the Jets' defense is going to be something that
legit
we talk about all year. They're going to have a lot of takeovers. Any interest in the Tampa Bats in this one?
No, I don't think so. I mean, trying to find a home run against Ryan, I suppose, is the route you're taking. You're looking for lefties. They do have some lefty power. Brandon Lau, Josh Lowe, Luke Raley is a guy I love to play when I'm hunting home runs. Big ISO, cheap price tag. So I like those 3 lefties, but definitely not a stack for me.
Yeah, Luke Raley is a guy that I like to play as well. Quietly has 18 home runs on the season. Like, yep. I say quietly because, I mean, Brandon Lau has 19 home runs on the season, and, we know just how good this guy is. So, Minnesota, I think they're an interesting, like, low-owned stack today. I like Little, and I think that a lot of people will like him today. So I think, like, overall, there's upside, right? Power-wise, there's a ton of power and a ton of strikeouts in this lineup. So if you played like a 3 or 4 man stack in Minnesota and just say, hey, I'm going to play these power guys And I hope that they're on the right side of strikeouts and the right side of power today. I think they make sense. Like, they're not overly expensive. I think the only one you really got to pay up for is Lewis. I think I would pay up for him because I do think like he's shown plenty of power in his stint here. So overall, I think that they're a good little secondary stack.
Yeah, I like the cheap value secondary stack. I don't mind the Lewis call. He's been phenomenal. He's hitting everything since he got back from the injured list. Good for him. Super high level prospect. Has just dealt with injuries, but we've been waiting on this guy for a couple of years just to be healthy because he's that good. But the cheap lefties is what I'm really interested in here. Max Kepler is cheap. Matt Wallner is cheap. Alex Kirilloff is back with the team. He's cheap. That little 3-man right there, like it's very cheap, and I'm highly interested.
All right, moving on. We got Oakland at Houston. Sears and Verlander facing off against each other on this slate. 8.5 total. The Astros a 310 favorite, up from the 300 favorite that they were yesterday when it opened. But any interest here in JP Sears?
I can't do it against Houston. I know Ken Waldichuk just shut these guys down over 6 innings, but this Houston offense is back healthy. They don't strike out with Brantley and Altuve back in there, added to Tucker and Alvarez. It's just they're back to being the elite offense that we hate playing pitchers against them in DFS. I'm certainly not playing JP Sears here.
Yeah, the line that they rolled out on Monday, 200 ISO, 370 WOBA, 16.7% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching this season. So I think like Waldichuk having a good game is just, hey, he pitched well. I think JP Sears like has potential like overall in his career. I just don't think it's today. I'm with you. No interest. Let's talk Verlander. 10-7 here. I think he'll be the popular SP1 on both sites. I mean, just, obviously we all get excited about Oakland matchups, their strikeout rate and everything so high. Verlander's been pitching well outside of his start against the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reason to say not to play him at 10-7 outside of price.
Yeah, I think ownership is going to be a huge factor too. Like we just saw Framber, who's not a huge strikeout guy, strike out 10 people. So to sit here and say that Verlander is not a huge strikeout guy anymore, that doesn't necessarily matter when you have a matchup against Oakland. I think he has potential to go out there and strike out 10. He certainly doesn't do it as often as he used to anymore. But he has been better since he came over to Houston. And in fact, I was interested in looking that up and I didn't, but I've got it right here. Actually, he's right in that 21% range still with Houston. I thought his strikeouts had ticked up a little bit, but still sitting at 21% with Houston as he was 21% with the Mets. So just not an elite strikeout pitcher anymore. Doesn't really matter in the matchup. It's the price and the ownership are what I'm concerned about. Everybody can see the fantastic matchup. So I think he is the popular pitcher rather than trying to get up to Peralta or Scherzer. I think Verlander is kind of the guy that it's going to be pretty easy to fit him in compared to Peralta and Scherzer. Oakland
bats.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to pass. The only thing that I will say, like, if you want to, like, in a large field tournament, if you want a home run chase with, like, a Ryan Noda, I get it. Like, or, like, if Roker, Roker makes sense, too, as, like, a one-off, like, because Verlander is kind of reverse splitsy power-wise. So, like, Roker has power against righties. Like, trying to chase that, like, home run play against Verlander in large field tournament, one-off, like you could play that one-off like hitter with Verlander in like Verlander teams, like if you wanted to make your Verlander like high owned Verlander teams less owned or different. Houston bats. I mean, I just read off the stats, Keith. Like this is a team that's phenomenal against left-handed pitching. JP Sears is very hittable, struggles with power to both sides of the plate. I mean, good that like this team got beat up a little bit on Monday. Maybe their ownership's down a little bit, but we've seen like the progression of DFS. Like it doesn't happen as much nowadays with like recent memory stuff. I think Houston's in a great spot today. They're probably one of my favorite pivots off of course today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I loved Houston on Monday night too. Obviously didn't work out with Waldichuk doing his thing, but I'm going right back to him because love this spot for them against Sears. Fly ball lefty, leaving one of the best pitchers parks in baseball, going into Houston to face this just elite offense. Like they're super expensive, so it's going to be tough to full stack them. I think you probably have to pick and choose one of Alvarez, Tucker. Maybe you can fit an Altuve out. Like you probably get two of those three: Alvarez, Tucker, and Altuve. I'm skipping Bregman. He hasn't been the same hitter. McCormick is a guy I'm always interested against lefties. Love the spot for him. Diaz at catcher. Abreu's been better. If Dubon cracks the lineup, he's 3,100. Houston's one of the top offenses on the slate. I think you can home run hunt with them too if you don't want to pay for the full stack. Chas McCormick as a one-off is somebody I absolutely love on the slate at 4,500.
Well, you know how much I love him against lefties, so you don't have to twist my arm for that one by any means. So, 3 and out for Buffalo in overtime. Jets defense, man, they're something. All right, we got Coors, Chicago Cubs. Your Chicago Cubs at the Colorado Rockies. 12 total. Cubs a 190 favorite here in this one. Javier Assad going up against Chris Flexen. Keith, let's just say it. We're not playing pitchers in this game. Oh gosh.
We're not playing Chris Flexen, I'll tell you that.
Oh no.
I will say Colorado's getting healthier. Charlie Blackmon's back. Chris Bryant came off the IL Monday night. Javier Assad has been sneaky good, like legitimately good. I know he wasn't great against Arizona his last time out.
They just returned the punt for a touchdown, really? What just happened?
What is going on?
The Jets just won the game somehow, but I don't know how. Someone in chat, tell me what just happened.
I think it was a punt return, yep.
Oh my gosh. I look away for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh, anyway, sorry. Super distracted. What just happened, but Jets are celebrating. That's crazy that they beat them without Aaron Rodgers. Anyway,
that is insane. Absolutely insane.
All right, well, back to this is a good memory or good thought process of telling you why you shouldn't play Javier. And I'm just kidding.
No. So hear me out.
I'm listening.
Compare him to Little. Like that's all you're aiming to beat 15 points from Little is like what you're looking at. He went into Cincinnati and put up 27 DK points. Like it's different than Coors. Coors is a different beast entirely, but the guy's been good. He keeps the ball on the ground. You definitely need BABIP in your favor. I don't think he's going to strike out 7 or 8 in this game, but give me 4 or 5 strikeouts, 6 clean innings. Like even if it's 6 innings and 2 runs with 5 strikeouts, I think that's playable here at 6,500. Like the options aren't great down here. He doesn't need to put up the 25 points. Like I'm happy with 15 points here. Colorado's a terrible offense, getting a little healthier, but I still think Assad's in play.
Dude, I just saw the play and what a range of emotion game for Jets fans. Can we just talk about that? You're super excited. You have this team that is built for, making a long run. They bring in Aaron Rodgers. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have one of the best talented wide receivers in the league. And then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt in the first series of the game. You watch Zach Wilson play that first half, and you're like, gosh, our season's going to suck. And you end up beating the Bills, coming from behind and beating the Bills in overtime on a punt return touchdown. What a wild Hard Knocks football game. That's all I got. Like these guys should have been mic'd up for one more week. But anyway, I hear you on Assad. I mean, look what he did here recently against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, like you said. Generates a ton of ground balls, which definitely helps him in a ballpark like Coors. The Rockies lineup, definitely beatable. I'm gun shy because I had Wicks on 1 of 3 on Monday night. And it's not even like he necessarily pitched bad. I think he had 6 innings.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he hit a good.
He didn't get any strikeouts, but
strikeouts.
I said that exact same thing on Grinders Live. Like I said, he's in play because he could go 6 clean innings against his Colorado lineup, and it would not surprise me. The strikeout upside is not there. It's Coors Field. It limits strikeouts anyway. Assad is not an elite strikeout pitcher. He might be 22% when he's a finished product, which is still below league average. I'm not looking for 7 strikeouts in this spot. I just want 6 clean innings and another option in case Zach Littell gets a little bit popular or Zach Littell gets blown up. Like I'd rather do that than play somebody like Cal Quantrill, like Don Yeezy saying in the chat. That's the quality of pitcher that we're comparing him against here. If he wasn't in Coors, like if this game was in Wrigley with a little wind blowing in, I would be glad to play Assad in the spot.
Yeah, I did that last time he pitched against Arizona.
Didn't work out that time.
I will say the Arizona lineup much better. And you mentioned Chris Bryant coming back. The McMahon, Bryant, Jones, Blackman, top half of this lineup definitely
That's
better.
At least 4 major league hitters there.
Yeah. We're not playing Chris Flexen. That's silly. Don't do that. Even though Kyle Freeland just made them look silly on Monday night. I'm going to say it because that's exactly what it was. He made them look silly. So tilting. Anyway, Chris Flexen, low strikeout guy. Cubs bats. Even if this game was in Wrigley, they'd be a top stack on today's slate. They get a fantastic matchup here against one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Let's just be honest. And they're in the one of the best, if not the best hitters ballpark in baseball. I mean, the Cubs still playing for something. Every game matters for them right now. They have a chance to catch the Brewers. I think overall, like the only reason you're not playing the Cubs is like pricing and ownership.
Yeah, the Brewers will not stop winning, so catching them is going to be impossible because they just win every single game down the stretch here, apparently, for the last month and a half, it seems like. Good for them. They're a good team, so it's going to be tough to catch them, but the Cubs should make the playoffs. Definitely games matter to them at this point. Easily the top stack on the slate. Chris Flexen has been a pitcher that we picked on when he was back in Seattle. Like this is the best hitters park in baseball compared to Seattle, which is not a great hitters park. So elite spot for the Cubs. They're expensive, but I think we're going to have the key to the slate. And I'm glad to see that he got a little bit of a price bump because if Pete Crow Armstrong grabs the leadoff spot, he's going to be massive chalk in this spot. He's up to 3K, which is good because he was 2K on Monday night. And if he would have been in the lineup Monday night, he would have been massive chalk there as well. I think he helps even out the price of the stack. Elite prospect, has a ton of speed, a good amount of power, good plate discipline. Like this is a top 20-ish prospect in all of baseball, an elite center fielder. So he's going to be out there the whole time playing great center field defense. But Pete Crow Armstrong helps make this stack cheaper than it was Monday night. Suzuki's still a little bit underpriced, in my opinion, at 4,200. Helps you get up to the guys you really want. Chris Morel, fantastic here against a low strikeout pitcher like Flexen. Said the same thing about him Monday night, homered off of Freeland. Elite spot for Morel. Love Bellinger. Love that he's priced up. That'll keep people from going there in every Cubs stack. It's not lefty like it was Monday night, so he'll be more popular than he was Monday night. But still think that people are going to have a tough time swallowing 6,800 for Bellinger. I will be getting to these guys as much as I can here. PCA at that price is just ridiculous, especially if he's up in the order. I kind of feel like they'll hit him ninth and ease him in. But Suzuki way underpriced, Morel way underpriced. Cubs the top stack for sure.
Crow Armstrong, everyone that doesn't know who that is. He got called up on Monday. For the non-Cub fans that don't know.
I said his full name first, didn't I? Maybe not.
I'm just
I might not have.
Rockies bats. I mean, I will say this, right? The lineup is healthier for a core stack. They're not overly expensive. They're still priced up. Like I could definitely get behind if Assad gets 10-15% ownership, I could definitely see getting some Rockies bats here today.
I don't know that people are going to be as insane as me and play a bunch of Assad. I think he could get 5 to 10.
But so realistically, you look at the 3 top teams on this slate. In my opinion, 3 top teams on this slate.
You're going to be looking for a 6K pitcher. That was my point too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're if you don't believe in Michael Wacha and you're saying the Dodgers, because I mean the Dodgers are just the Dodgers, and then you have the Cubs, and then you have Houston. All three of those teams are like they're all expensive. The stack is over. So I think one cheap pitcher, and it's not like we have like great 8K options today. Like we don't have those guys today. So I think one of these guys end up becoming popular today. But
yeah, I think people will go to Littell first, which is why I would use Assad as a pivot. If Assad gets 15 to 20%, then I'm not playing him.
LA Angels at Seattle, 7.5 total. Mariners a 210 favorite. Sandoval, Woo. We should note that Ohtani tried to play Monday. Did some BP before the game, and it felt weird. Like everything like tight. They said it was like tight feeling, weird feeling. I don't think he plays in this game. I'd be shocked. I mean, I still be shocked if he plays at all this season, but
yeah.
So yeah, that's just my thoughts. But we got Sandoval and Woo. Any interest here in Patrick Sandoval?
So the one thing on Ohtani is, can he still win the MVP if he comes back and hits 5 more homers or something? I think he can. He's still in the conversation, right? The dude did elite things. I have not checked his odds since he's been hurt, but I think he's probably got to be, if he's not the favorite, he's in the top 3 still, I bet. Patrick Sandoval, 7,500. You kind of mentioned that really no 8K pitchers that we're interested in, but I think we can take a look at both of these guys here in the 7K range. It's been a rough go for Patrick Sandoval. It's like it has not been a good season. He's had maybe a handful of good starts all year long. The strikeouts have been down. He's struggled with the walks here, but Seattle has enough strikeouts in the lineup that I think you could take a shot here. I wouldn't try to talk you out of it. I prefer Woo on the other side, but I don't think you're crazy if you're chasing strikeouts with Sandoval here. That being said, Seattle, they've been on a roll here lately. It is not a good matchup outside of the strikeout upside.
Yeah, I mean, what Detmers is at? I think he's at like 19 fantasy points last time I checked. Like 7 strikeouts through 6 innings. Basically the same type of upside as Detmers. I will say like Detmers over Sandoval, like Detmers has more strikeout ability. But like Sandoval gives up less power but walks more people kind of thing. So 7,500 I think is a fair price tag for Sandoval today. He's not my favorite. I like Woo way more on the other side of this game.
Yeah.
But everybody else will as well. I mean, there's no secret ingredient here.
I'm pretty sure that the chalk pitchers are Verlander Woo is probably going to be a very popular pairing on DK. So like I would definitely avoid that if you're playing larger field tournaments.
Yeah, I mean Brian Woo, he's been struggling recently. Like his strikeouts have kind of dipped here recently. He's been struggling just overall. I mean, you could, I like Woo. Let's start with liking him first. You know, you look at this lineup with no Ohtani. They have some injuries. 26% Ks, 140 ISO is the projected lineup here against right-handed pitching, and that's without Ohtani. So overall, I mean, Woo's in a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think like point per dollar, he has a chance to be the top scoring pitcher on the slate, price considered. I absolutely love this spot for Logan Gilbert on Monday night. He's actually been hit around a little bit. I mean, he's given up 3 runs. It's not like he's been awful, but the Angels put up a better fight than I thought they would. That's not going to scare me off of Woo. He got beat up a little bit his last time out, but I'm still super excited about this guy's talent. He's working his way back from an injury, building up that pitch count. We've seen kind of that slow escalation here, 65 pitches, 69 pitches, 83 pitches in his last one, despite giving up 5 runs. So they were clearly trying to get him stretched out a little bit more. He's never a guy who's going to go over 100 anyway. He's a young arm that Seattle's going to take care of. So 85 to 90 is about what you can expect when he's fully stretched. So I think we're at that point. That this Angels lineup, talked about it a lot on Monday night. There's still a ton of swing and miss in the lineup. I'm very interested in Woo. Despite the struggles of Gilbert Monday night and then Woo's struggles last time out, I still think he could definitely find success here in the spot.
Yeah, so the flip side, right, is ownership and his recent struggles. His strikeout rate's down to 13% over the last 30 days. He's saw a little bit of an increase on walks. Looking at some of his advanced stats, like his hard hit rate's down, his whiff rate is down, his swinging strike rate is way down, but his barrels are down as well. So like he's not striking guys out as much, but he's also like he's done a fantastic job recently of just limiting power. He's allowed 1 home run in his last 5 starts, and he had opponents of the Angels, Arizona, White Sox, Oakland, Cincinnati, 1 home run in those 5 starts. So he's done a lot better with limiting power. Wish he'd get his strikeout upside back a little bit, but 7,900, 18 fantasy points is definitely viable on this slate. Any interest in the Angels bats today?
I don't know who I would possibly want to play in this lineup. Like we're looking at names like Moustakas and Grichuk, and it's like they're nice pieces, but when they're the best hitters in the lineup, that's a problem. Ohapi had the 2 home run game on Monday night. If you want to, if you need a catcher in the 3K range, Ohapi's fine. Talented young catcher, I like him. There's no way I'm stacking here though.
Yeah, probably gonna pass. And on the Seattle side, I think if I'm attacking Sandoval here, it'd be with a stack. A team that's likely not going to get a ton of ownership. He struggles a lot more with righties, so like you could build that like Suarez, France, Riley, Teoscar, Julio Rodriguez, Dylan Moore, like that right-handed power or like heavy. Hopefully the strikeouts are down here type of spot. He walks enough people. Like I could definitely see a Seattle stack working today. Terrible ballpark. Pricing is, okay, not as expensive as some of these other stacks, but yeah, I could see getting to a Seattle stack today.
Yeah, even if I end up with some Sandoval in my build, I will definitely have Seattle stacks. I like the Seattle side of this more than I like the Sandoval side. They set up really well against lefties. Teoscar has always hit lefties well. Suarez has typically hit lefties well, not this year, but I'm still willing to play him at this price. Raleigh, you mentioned, love him at 4,500. Julio is elite. Kelnick back in the lineup Monday night. He's lefty, which is not ideal, but before he went on the IL, he was actually having a pretty solid season against lefties. So don't mind that. He's still cheap at 3,600. Dylan Moore is the cheapie that I love to play against lefties in the Seattle lineup.
All right, moving on. We did have a chat question about Cutter Crawford. Keith and I both don't think that they're going to leave that Boston game on the slate. If they do, I think Cutter Crawford's going to get a ton of ownership today, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're not. They haven't included them all season. I'm sure we'll open it up tomorrow, and there will be a note that they're not accruing fantasy points.
Yep, that doubleheader was not announced. It was announced like during the football game, and not like extremely a ton of time since we started recording. So we kind of just assume. That's why we skipped that game as a whole, because Crawford could pitch the early game too. We don't know.
I think they did announce it would be him in the late game, but
yeah. If they leave that game on the slate, I wrote him up on Lineup HQ today as a value play. I think he'd be very, very popular today. All right, Guardians and Giants, 8 total. Giants a 150 favorite. Quantrill, and it sounds like Manaea is going to start. I'm not getting my hopes up. I think that this is going to be an opener situation. And Manaea throws 3 or 4 innings, but hey, if he starts, it becomes a lot more interesting for the slate. Any interest in Cal Quantrill at 5,500?
So he's really cheap, and I know there's been his name's been thrown out in chat. Like I never like to play Cal Quantrill. I do like to pick on the Giants. It's a great ballpark to pitch in, so I'm kind of torn. If I need the savings down from the Littell Assad range, I suppose Quantrill's in play. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. There's absolutely a path to him with 6 scoreless innings here in this ballpark out in San Francisco. So it's not the craziest idea in the world. He doesn't have a ton of strikeouts upside generally. The Giants do strike out a lot, 4th highest strikeout rate in baseball. So he's in play. Not my favorite. I would much rather get up to Littell, I think, but he is there, and I don't think it's crazy to play him.
Yeah, if you're running 150, you're mixing and matching these guys in this price range just because you want the bats. he's not good. To
put it bluntly.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to put it. He's done a great job recently limiting power, and he's been in some tough spots. He's another guy that's only allowed 1 home run over his last 5 starts, and that was against Atlanta. And I mean, he faced Tampa, the Cubs, Baltimore. Like, they weren't good starts. He just hasn't allowed a lot of home runs. So maybe he could limit the home runs and be on the right side of BABIP and score 15 points here at 5,500. I don't think he has like a 30-point ceiling. I think his ceiling is probably like 20 points. I think his ceiling game was last time out against the Angels. He had 22.5. That was like a Cal Quantrill ceiling game.
Yeah, but I mean, we'd love that for 5,500.
True, buddy. Would we ever? Hey, if Sean Manaea starts today and like he's announced the starter, if he gets 80 pitches as a starter against Cleveland at 5,700, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right? You talk like Cleveland's not a great opponent to chase strikeouts against, but you don't often get a 27% strikeout rate for 5,700. So even though the matchup isn't great, I think I'm right there with you. I'm skeptical as well that he actually is the announced starter once first pitch rolls around at 9:45 Eastern.
Dude, he hasn't started since actually started a game since May. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. If they schedule an opener, then you get into that conversation of, are we even sure that Manaea is the guy to come in? And San Francisco is a terrible team to try to pinpoint. I haven't looked at who's pitched recently, but they've used Jake Junis in a long relief role. They've used Tristan Beck in a long relief role and Sean Manaea in a long relief role. So they have guys that they mix and match behind these openers. If we get the opener situation, I'm probably out on Manaea, just because it's a lower strikeout matchup anyway, and I don't want to have to try and guess if he's going to actually come in the game. That being said, if we get through lock and he's still the announced starter as we roll up the first pitch, I'm on board with Manaea for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Junis and they have Alex Wood. They've been using like all three of these guys. Yep. Yeah, like as these like long relief opener guys. And I don't know what happened in the last game against the Cubs. He threw 3 innings and threw only 34 pitches, and it was yanked. So just no faith if he's not starting. If he's not the actual starter, like no faith for me in him. Yep. No faith in the Cleveland. Man, the Cleveland bats stink. They are awful. There's just no power in this lineup, especially lefty-lefty. Like,
yeah, with Naylor lefty-lefty, it's rough.
Like Jose Ramirez, sure, but like $6K for Jose Ramirez, I've been fading him all year, and I don't see like getting 12 points from Jose Ramirez is awesome, right? But like when he has these like 25+ point games, sure, I'll have nights where I don't like come out on top, but $6K for Jose Ramirez is just crazy to me.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to play a 6K one-off, first of all. You'd rather the elite hitter be in your stack so that when he's the one going off, he's bringing other points with him. Don't love the 6K one-off, so I don't think I'm playing Jose Ramirez either. Naylor does add some power to this lineup, but he hasn't been as good against lefties as he hits from the left side of the plate. So I'm not stacking Cleveland. And like, especially if San Francisco does this opener thing, then you don't even know what the matchup is. So that gets even more complicated. If Manaea is the starter, you can certainly try to find a home run off of him. Laureano, I think, would be the guy that I'd look to. 3,500, has hit lefties okay in his career. If David Fry were to happen to crack the lineup, maybe that's another one-off, has catcher eligibility, but no guarantee he's going to be in the lineup.
Giants bats, Cal Quantrill is not good. Strikeouts are really low. Walks are high. Yaz, Peterson, Haniger, JD Davis. I mean, I don't think I'd stack this team, but I think like if you're playing a chalky stack and you want like a cheap secondary stack, I think the Giants are very much in play for that purpose.
Yeah, like the ballpark is tough. San Francisco will do the pinch hit thing for sure, so it can definitely be frustrating to roster these guys. But I'm not afraid of the matchup, so I'm certainly fine with a couple of pieces here. I don't think I want him as my primary stack. Be more of a mini for me. Peterson is the guy I like. JD Davis I like quite a bit. He's down to 3,600. Lamont Wade has been fine, but he's been down in the order a little bit recently. He's kind of swapped places with Yaz, so I think I'd prefer Yaz over Wade. But yeah, probably not more than 3 of these guys for me.
We finish it out with the Dodgers and the Padres. San Diego and LA taking on the Dodgers. 9.5 total. 160 favorite here for the Dodgers. Waka and Lynn. Any interest here in Michael Waka?
Not at 8,900 against the Dodgers. Waka's an above-average pitcher probably at this point in his career, but just not the matchup for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd play Waka today if he was 7,500. I'm just being honest. Not against this team. The other side of this game, we have Lance Lynn.
Oh, buddy.
Fair price tag, right? Fair price tag. I think we can just say fair price tag for Lance Lynn. All over the place. I mean, ever since he got a Dodgers uniform, all over the place. Looked really good his first couple starts, struggled his last couple starts. He doesn't know what he wants to do pitch-wise. Looking at like his advanced stats, like his pitch mix is like all over the place right now. I mean, my first initial thought is just like the Padres don't strike out a ton. Lance Lynn's not an above-average strikeout pitcher. He's expensive. Let's save some money and go down to some guys in better matchups. That was my initial thought on Lance Lynn.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Josh Gillum just said in chat that torn Achilles for A-Rod. Is that confirmed? I mean, I heard a lot of people speculating that it looked like that. That would just be awful.
Jets believe an Achilles injury for quarterback Rodgers, MRI tomorrow, according to,
an Achilles injury. It doesn't necessarily say a tear. Like, I don't know if you can strain your Achilles without it popping, can you?
I am not a doctor. That's one injury that I avoided when I played sports.
I've heard very bad things about Achilles injuries. So, like Aaron Rodgers is what, 38, 39? Is he 40? Like, I don't know if he tries to come back from that even, but like that's not a fun injury to come back from. And it's something that takes a very long time to recover from. So hopefully that's not the case, but
he's 39. He turns 40 in December.
Hopefully it's not a torn Achilles. That would be very, very bad. Anyway, back to where were we at here? Lance Lynn, 8,400. I'm with you. I think that's a fair price. So he was looking good with the Dodgers, like you mentioned. I gave him a pass in the Atlanta start. Obviously, it's Atlanta. Anyone can have a bad start against Atlanta. Loaded up on him against Miami when he was only 8K. And dude just gets his face punched in again. Like, it has been just a brutal roller coaster for this guy, like all season long. I don't think I'd mess with it today. Like, I'm going to try to save more money than this. Like you said, give me Brian Wu for 500 cheaper. I think I'd rather take shots on Sandoval for cheaper. I don't want to ride the Lance Lynn roller coaster anymore. I'm ready to jump off for the year.
Yeah. I mean, so there is a press conference that says, not good.
Damn.
From Robert Salia. Not good is not what you want to hear from the coach after an injury.
No.
But no one knows. No one knows. But yeah, gosh, man, that stinks in so many different ways. I am a Dolphins fan for what it's worth. But I wanted to see like Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Like I thought that Aaron Rodgers with the Jets was going to be a fun team to watch this year.
I'm a Bears fan who has spent the last 15 plus years hating Aaron Rodgers and hoping that he fails. But I too think that this is just awful news, and you never want to see a guy go out like that. Just brutal.
Any interest in the San Diego Bats against Lance Lynn?
You can certainly hunt some power here. He's had walk issues too throughout the year, so I don't even hate the full stack. My main issue with that is they're pretty expensive, and like Lance Lynn should be okay to not get blown up. I say that, and he just got blown up in his last two starts. So the full stack is in play. I'm not sure how much I'll be doing it just because they're expensive. We talked about the Cubs, Houston, all these teams that we want to stack up that are expensive. The Mets are another one that I like a ton. San Diego's probably down the list for me, but I don't mind hunting power here. I prefer lefty power. Soto's not a guy I like to chase power with because he walks too much. There's not a ton of lefty power in the lineup, to be honest. Kim is better against lefties. Still has stolen base upside if you want to chase that angle with Kim, but again, he's 4,800. It's not like he's super cheap. Machado is probably my favorite answer here, just from the power perspective. Grisham is fine at 2,800 if you want to chase a cheap one.
It's gonna be the best team, like on paper, that doesn't make the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
this lineup not making the playoffs is so crazy to me. And I've talked about their expected win total compared to their win total, and yeah, I think if I'm playing San Diego, it's just a full on stack, like hoping Lance Lynn struggles and like we just see a monster game here. Like Manny Machado just hit a second home run of the night. Like this team has that upside. Like they have that upside. Like there's so many good bats in this lineup. Like I said, they're on paper, they're a phenomenal team. They don't strike out. They have power with Tatis, Soto, Machado, Xander Bogaerts. Like there's plenty of upside here. I think if I'm playing them, I'm stacking them. The Dodgers, I think you can stack the Dodgers any day, like any day of the week. Any pitcher they're facing. Michael Wacha is not like this below average pitcher. He's probably slightly above average pitcher when he's pitching well, but the Dodgers are so good. Like they're so good that like if you play anything over one lineup, you're probably like looking at the Dodgers.
Yeah, definitely. Another expensive stack that we're looking to play. Another reason I think we're going to be searching around for some cheap pitching. Mookie's obviously phenomenal in the MVP race. Freddie's great. Muncy is swinging a little bit better bat right now. 5,100. He's cheaper than the top two options in Betts and Freeman. I don't know if I'm paying 5,600 for Will Smith or 5,300 for JD Martinez. I probably want Betts, Freeman, and then go down to Muncy and then save some money somewhere. Would definitely prefer to do that with Josh Outman. If Hayward's in the lineup, that's totally fine. But yeah, Dodgers full stack definitely in play. Even against a solid pitcher like Wacha, just too much upside to leave him out of your portfolio.
All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we will get out of here. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts is where we start. What are you looking at today?
Give me Brian Wu. I know the strikeouts have kind of disappeared a little bit, but I believe in this stuff. He has an elite fastball. He gets an Angels lineup that I just have no faith in whatsoever. Even if Ohtani's back, Ohtani strikes out enough. Certainly raises the risk for him a little bit, but there's so many strikeouts in this Angels lineup.
I'm assuming, and I'm going off of what we have right now. And right now, Sean Manaea is the starter. Give me Sean Manaea to get 6 or more strikeouts if he is the starter. If not, he's not getting 6 strikeouts. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
Michael Wacha, just tough matchup against the Dodgers. He's a good pitcher, but I'm definitely not playing him against the Dodgers, so I'll be rooting for him to go under 15.
Lance Lynn has been a mess lately. I'm going to go Lance Lynn as my fade today. Over 4K, not in cores to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
Chas McCormick. Just love him against lefties, man. Guy has been incredible. There's a chance he may not crack the lineup, so I might try to find a second one here after you give one. Like I'm looking right now, I don't think we have him projected. Obviously, with Brantley back in there, they've got Abreu. I have to think he plays against the lefty here, but I could be wrong. So I'll try to find another one here while you're looking, or while you give yours.
It'd be an excellent day to give Brantley a day off.
Yeah, I completely agree.
No, I just meant like not even like talking like that. I just meant
no, he's lefty. Yeah, it makes complete sense. I think that's what happens. You
want to limit his innings like down the stretch anyway. So I think like, I think you have to. I think you have to do it. The Astros are almost locked into the playoff. I know, like the only team locked in is like Atlanta, but like let's be honest, the Astros are making the playoffs unless like they lose every game down the stretch. But they're in a good spot. My home run today, give me Corbin Carroll to hit home run number 25 today. I like his home run upside in this matchup.
I like that. I will go to Pete Alonso as my other one. Just love it when he's facing a low strikeout pitcher. He gets Ryan Nelson today. So if McCormick isn't in there, I'll go Pete Alonso.
All right, give me a hitter under 4K to get 2 hits today.
You're not going to let me take my boy because he's in Coors Field. Pete Crow Armstrong is getting it done, but since he's in Coors and not eligible for the game, I will go Dylan Moore against Patrick Sandoval. Second base eligibility, love that.
Yeah, I like that. Oh man, I had wrote down 2 guys, and I don't like either one of them as much as I did earlier. I'm gonna stay in the Arizona side. Give me Tommy Pham. Guy's been scorching here recently. Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who's putting 6 on the board today?
I think the Mets get it done today. I don't believe Ryan Nelson is talented enough to hold them the power that they have down. I know the lineup falls off a little bit, but I still like this spot for the Mets. Nelson just low strikeouts. Guys like Pete Alonso and even the big lefties Vogelbach and DJ Stewart love this spot for them. And anytime they're against a low strikeout guy.
I'm gonna go Padres against Lance Lynn. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Lance Lynn right now. I think the Padres, I mean, they still have I think I was reading earlier today, they have a 3% chance to make the playoffs. So hey, they're still alive for now, but they're like my Red Sox. The Red Sox, they're very slim to none to make the playoffs. So, Keith, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Rough day on Monday. Hopefully this Tuesday start gets our week back on track, and then we'll roll it into starting to break down some football as well as we get closer to week 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm ready to definitely get back to the talking some football on the football podcast. I think we have a lot to talk about this week, just in general. I mean, early look is very interesting week.
Shout out to your boy Tua, man. How incredible was he? He was slinging it all over the place, dropping it over the safety's head. The Tyreek at the end of the game was just beautiful. Just awesome stuff from Tua, man.
He missed one too, early in that game. He missed Tyreek on one early, underthrew him, which is very easy to do. But I've been saying it, I don't think people give enough credit to Tua when he's healthy. This offense is so fast, and he can get the ball out quick too, man. Watch out for the Dolphins if he can stay healthy. I mean, that's what we're hoping for, him staying healthy. If you're Tua, you don't run the ball at all this year. You just take sacks. You just go down, slide. Your offense is too good. You could have a 3rd and 15 and get it because your offense is so good. So, yeah, very excited for the Dolphins this year. But hope everyone has a fantastic Tuesday. We'll be back Wednesday talking baseball. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.